Everybody. So today we're going to look at Democritus. So in your Edmodo, you want to go to the post that says 9/11 Democritus. We have the link for the reading. We have the practice questions, and we have my email that you send them to. Now, Democritus was actually the first to propose the idea of the atom. So back long ago, they didn't have scientific labs, so they would kind of discuss what they thought about things. So Greek philosophers did a lot of discussing about the physical world and what went on, how things happened, how it was made up. So they had many different opinions about what made up matter. But one of the ongoing debates had to do with sand. So the question was, into how small of pieces can you divide a grain of sand? So Aristotle, who was very influential at the time, thought that you could divide a grain of sand indefinitely. So you could always get a smaller particle. Now, there were some philosophers that differed with this train of thought. So one of these philosophers was Democritus, and they called him the laughing philosopher because he emphasized cheerfulness. So his idea was that there were substances called atoms, and they made up all physical things. Okay, he said the atoms were unchangeable and they were indestructible. So the word atom comes from the Greek atomos, which means indivisible. So the atomists, believed there were two realities that made up the physical world, that there were atoms and there was void, okay? So there's an infinite number of atoms according to them, but different types of atoms are going to have different sizes and different shapes. The void is going to be the empty space that the atoms moved and collided with one another through. And when the atoms collided with each other, they might repel each other or they might attract each other. So Aristotle disagreed with Democritus. According to Aristotle, everything was composed of four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. But it wasn't until 2,000 years later that we found out that Democritus was more correct than Aristotle, but Aristotle was more influential at the time, so people accepted his idea. So we're going to find out, as we look at atomic theory, that some of Democritus's ideas were accurate and some not so much. But make sure you finish your questions and turn them into me.